prices went up. Because we are presiding over an economy which includes the railways, which is almost
I think Mr. Sharma also wants to come in.
I think I'm having a preview of the budget speech
Rahul,
of.
just 30 seconds.
Can I, sir?
30 seconds.
Can I 1 minute? Can I? I think I'm having a preview of
Sure.
Mr. Jaitley's budget speech, with a lot of, rhetoric there. His time has come, Mrs. Kumaramanglam, to tell the people the truth. You must tell the people the truth, please, for God's sake. All of us want to repair the country's economy. All of us want
Sir,
to
we are
get it
trying to tell the people the truth. The truth is always very hard to accept.
now you are,
Mr. Shankar Iyer, is the truth being told?
No,
but
you
we are
Let's go across to Mr. Shankar Iyer. Mr. Shankar Iyer, is the truth being told by either of the two parties?
Well, the truth about the economy has been known for some time. And the figures and the statistics have all been bandied about. What every person at home or elsewhere feels in terms of 4 years of relentless inflation is very well known. What is necessary is for the government to come together and say these are the issues, this is our approach, these are our solutions. Instead, you have on one hand people are campaigning in one constituency and contesting in another constituency. You cannot be reformist and populist at the same time. If there is a problem with the economy, please state up front there is a problem. If you have taken a decision, say it is our decision. Don't say it was the previous government and the next government and it's broke and the scam and all that. And if you have a game plan, please present it. Which is why I said at the first time that if you have a proposal, it would have been much better to present it at the budget, when the railway budget was. The railway minister would have had an opportunity.
Rahul, I want to say something here, Rahul.
Yes.
And the context has to be placed that if you have run down an economy for 10 years, I mean, this government, the UPA government, when it came to power, was borrowing 200 crores per day.
Point.
When they left government, they were borrowing 1,700 crores per day.
As I read this letter, fair enough, I think, Shankara, you made an important interjection there, because in the letter, Mr. Narendra Modi says, and I'll just quote 2 or 3 words, he says, he took umbrage at the Prime Minister at that point, which was Dr. Manmohan Singh, wanting to go in for a 20% hike in rail freight, saying that the Parliament was being bypassed. Now, what better place to make a case than Parliament? Why is the Parliament once again being overlooked?
No, Rahul,
and undermined?
I'd like to say very clearly that in a crisis you have to respond very, very quickly and sometimes in a way which is very sudden, and that's the best way of responding.
So you think that,
need not be
so would you say,
Parliament.
sir, that Dr. Manmohan Singh, reading the signs, was not acting out of a sense of urgency?
Well, the problem with Dr. Manmohan Singh was that he used to go back on several decisions.
That's immaterial. I'm saying when he wanted to push for a 20%.
Professor Dagpal, I would help him recall the rollback Yashwant Sinha, during the NDA regime. You see, we are living in a hugely expectant society. People are not waiting anymore for trickle down. They want benefits in torrents. And there is a serious problem with the political class, which is unable to contain their aspirations, bring them to an optimal level, and give a policy which caters to that. Because they are, generating dreams.
Okay, let me go across to Professor Anand Kumar. Professor Anand Kumar, you have 4 MPs in the Lok Sabha. What's going to be your position on this issue? Because it's quite discernible from the dismal bottom line of the railways that something needs to be done. The government says, in the short case it made, via the railway minister who took on a press conference for about 10 minutes, came out and said that, look, it's broke. The railways is broke. We need to raise money to reinvest in railway services, to put systems in place. Isn't that an objective that should be supported?
Well, there are going to be 3 messages from Aam Aadmi to Honorable Railway Minister and Mr. Prime Minister. Number 1, do not hide behind the Congress Party and its prescriptions. Number 2, try to come out with a holistic reform package for the railways so that it is free of mafia and corruption at high places. Number 3, make it a rational people's railways, so that railways loss is country's gain if there's any loss at all.
Okay, Mr. Shergill, you know, the point is, we wouldn't be having this discussion had perhaps the UPA been less profligate. Remember, the railways were sort of offered up as some sort of an incentive to allies, Deeptosh, if I'm not mistaken. That's really the charge against them.
Exactly. Lalu Prasad Yadav with Mamta following in his footsteps, and then, of course, Dinesh Trivedi's budget being overruled.
Absolutely.
That was a
and
legacy
several instances came and went when fares could have been corrected, when deep reforms could have been instituted, which would have removed operational and marketing inefficiencies. The UPA must step up to the plate and accept responsibility for where things are. You can't just sit here and say, oh, you see, now the BJP is learning the lessons.
No, Rahul, 2 points. Number 1, I don't want to sit here and trade numbers when we're talking about that government is broke or it didn't take any steps. My friend,
no, it's important. You must
should remember 1st June 2004.
No, you must.
What I'm saying is there were steps. Our tonnage capacity increased all over the world, but we were brave enough to see and appreciate. Look, there is a price rise. Isn't necessary. There are phenomena. We are taking steps. Now, for the BJP to flip it or change their goalpost and say, no, wait a minute, this has been snowballed by the Congress. But the public is not going to accept that excuse. It's high time they...
No, but you are also going in for a short-termism.
Plan, because that's what people expect.
Look, I don't think anyone on this panel says that price hike, especially to the tune of what has been announced. Is the right prescription. I don't think anyone is going to argue that point. I think this price hike, there is an element of opportunism here, Professor Nalapant. I mean, there are a slew of reforms. I can quote out of Mr. R. Sivadasan's article. He's the former financial commissioner of the railways. He's come out with a huge reform agenda. I don't know if in the railway budget this is going to be embarked upon. But given the fact that we've gone in for a fare hike before the railway budget, we have serious concerns. There is consumers such as us, as the Aam Aadmi, that is going to bear the can. While these reforms, which are actually the ones that are going to address the issue, will not perhaps be announced.
Well, Rahul, the first point is that it will take about 6 months before we can really judge whether this government is going to really succeed in putting the economy back on track.
No, but that's too early to say. That's not the point. They have to hit the ground running, unfortunately so, sir. They are the ones who raise the expectations. So here is a time to deliver. I just want to make a larger point, sir. And the point being that you have a situation where the bottom line of the railways is suffering. The government decides before Parliament to take a step which is highly unpopular and then goes and blames it on the UPA government. Do you think that is good practice?
Well, I'd like to say quite clearly that I agree with people who say that now the buck stops with the current government. There's no point blaming the previous government. The previous government was roundly defeated in the polls. It suffered its punishment, and there's really no point in flogging a horse that is now firmly on the ground. So I quite agree with you. The responsibility stops with the NDA. It stops with the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers, and they're the ones who are going to be given the credit if things go right, and all the blame, I repeat, all the blame if things go wrong.
Mr. Shankar Iyer, let me ask you a very pointed question. Was this hike necessary at all? Is it justifiable?
Well, in politics and in a democracy, you can justify anything and everything is unjustifiable. The point is that if you have not had a fare hike for over 10 years and measures have been rolled back, and we know that the railways need a huge amount of money to be restructured. Whatever the reasons being given that this was an urgent step and so on and so forth are all okay for, consumption of at a limited time span. 8 or 10,000 crores or 20,000 crores isn't going to save the railways. The railways need over 1 lakh crore just for its safety. So it would have been better for the railways to come out with a comprehensive plan on how they're going to do it, how they're going to raise funds, how they're going to fix the broken tracks. So those are the issues. The second part is that you cannot always place the can in the hands of the consumer or the citizens. What exactly is the government doing to cut down its costs? Are we seeing any divestment? Are we seeing any privatization? Are we seeing any restructuring of the way the government operates? Or are we going to see any delayering in the way the decision making happens? I mean, every power project in any state goes through 90 clearances. Are we going to see any change? So those are the issues that need to be seen. I mean, the winner cannot blame the loser for the weight of the medal that he wears. He has to now carry that medal.
That's an important point.
Rahul, that may be important, all right. I have a different point altogether. This is an agri-economy. Now, the timing right now, they say it's a hard decision. It had to come in right now. What is a hard decision now that had to be taken first is the priority of the government. Mr. Modi, in all his election speeches, in Uttar Pradesh especially, said 10,000 crores is due to the sugarcane farmers who are dying. Who are dying, that needs to be addressed first. Now today, I say that with authority, most of the farmers in Uttar Pradesh voted for Mr. Modi. My own Sangathan gave a call for Mr. Modi. Now what is happening today is, the farmers are dying, their money is not coming around. You could have waited for another 15 days for this, taken on for the farmers. This is an agri-economy. We just push the farmers behind and say, we had said this during the election, now we'll talk in the next election. Whereas if the railway is dying, you come forward. If the country is dying, you just take a back seat. This is very important right now. The priority is very important. They had to take a stand there. Whether the farmers were important, and they had made a promise in the elections for the farmers, didn't they?
Lalita Kumaramangalam, that question's for you.
Rahul, the budget is going to be out, I think, sometime around in the second week of July. The budget is not going to, I think some of the very hard decisions that we're going to have to take may not make for populism in the budget, but believe me, we are looking at exactly how far, how strong the stance that we have to take, the reforms that we have to make. We've been in power just for less than a month. Our government was, I think, sworn in on 26th of May. When the budget does come out, you will see that we are determined to bring in as many of the reforms as we can to get this economy back on track. This is what we had promised the people. And yes, I agree that in the short run, it is not going to be easy. It is definitely not going to be populist. And I have to say that, if you think that I'm trying, or anybody else from the BJP is trying to put the blame on the UPA, we are not. Some of the facts are that, yes, we have inherited an economy that is in doldrums. We can't not say that. Whosoever's blame that is, as another panel pointed out, whoever has been responsible for it has paid the price at the last hustings. And I've said this ad nauseum, that we have not only got a massive mandate, it's an opportunity. It's a huge challenge. The opportunity, in fact,
we're having a few audio problems. We'll come back to you.
Deeptosh,
is this...
But we have been given opportunity to set the economy on track, and we will take the hard decisions
does this
that
signal,
are necessary. We will
I'll come to you,
bring
Mr. Shergill.
Reforms as we can.
I'll come to you 1 second. Does this signal intent towards bold steps in the next 3 weeks when the budget actually is announced?
One would have clearly said that this does announce the Modi government's way of doing things. If the government had come out and also said how much exactly would be collected through these extra revenues which are being generated and what would be done with it. But that has not been specified at all. That would be done in the budget. Now this has been done. We know that the political strategy is to limit the resultant political fury, and so that the budget is soft cushioned on the day of the budget, that it's sold in a better way. And today the prices are being done much long before the budget. That has become a little bit of a trend in recent times to increase prices or fares before the budget. But this government has done it in a very cynical way. So that has to be accepted by this government. And why keep on blaming the UPA government when you're doing something which is bold and which is really forward-looking?
Okay, Mr. Vinod Sharma.
No, I don't agree with this. I think there was an interim budget which was put on hold. This government has implemented that. Let's be fair to that. Yes, of course, before I read this price hike, I must read it in conjunction with the budget, railway budget, which comes, and also the general budget, which is going to come in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes.
I think that we are judging rather prematurely the economic game plan of the Modi government. I would like to see the entire gamut of things which are there in the pipeline. He made a statement in Goa I think that the Honorable Prime Minister, for the first time, very honestly told the people of this country the truth as he saw it. Till now, as I keep on saying, throughout the election campaign, he was selling dreams. Now he should be able to, make people comfortable with shattered dreams. Because that is what political honesty is all about. Governments, if they take difficult decisions...
But would you say this signals intent that he is going to do that?
I think so.
Okay, you think so.
This read with, no, please, one second. This read with Goa, statement of the Narendra Modi. And I think Mr. Narendra Modi, to disabuse the people of this country of the hyperbole that he sold them to win the election.
Okay,
now he's to run the government.
This speaks volumes of Mr. Modi's commitment and conviction towards the dream that he has perhaps sold. And that
don't put words in my mouth.
I don't know, but
I'm not here to give a testimony to him.
Okay,
I'm
Mr.
just saying a
Shergill,
statement of fact.
Mr. Shergill, at least that speaks volumes about Mr. Modi's commitment to biting the bullet, irrespective of the political fallout.
Before the bullet train has come, the bullet.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead.
Rahul, please discount the factor that I speak on behalf of the Congress party. If anything, this move shows it is the perfidy of NDA, especially BJP and especially Mr. Modi. I am on a larger issue. When we gave the same reasoning, when we were diminishing the supremacy of the parliament, when we were adding cost to 300 crores or power generation, have these reasons changed overnight? When we were requesting for them the parliament...
So why didn't you go ahead?
They created a world record on parliament disruption.
So why didn't you go ahead?
Where
you didn't have the courage of conviction.
No, go ahead there.
You can't accuse Mr. Modi. No, 1 second.
Power generation is not enough.
All I am saying
yes, there was hypocrisy.
Politics of convenience.
No, Mr. Shergill, yes, there was hypocrisy.
All I am saying is
there was politics of convenience.
They have to realize
yes,
that at
there
times,
was campaign rhetoric. But at least
they have to
when he's come to power, he has demonstrated that he will deliver